VoteVets.org. He's a U.S. Army veteran and served 14 months in Afghanistan. Thank you so much for joining us. Let me get your reaction to the preliminary reports that we could see about 10,000 troops by the end of this year brought out of Afghanistan, again, the place where you serve this country.
Well, Tamron, at VoteVets.org, we didn't support the initial troop addition that President Obama announced in 2009, and now, announcing 10,000 troops returning home this year, that's significant to those troops' families, but it's not really significant to much else. When he announced this strategy, there were never any clear metrics for what success would be, and for a counterinsurgency strategy, there really weren't given the troops the commanders needed to fight that strategy. And now, 2 years later, the situation is essentially the same on the ground. The calculus hasn't changed, but we're talking about fighting the same mission with fewer troops, and it's essentially the same situation. So that's curious to us at VoteVets.org.
What Jim Miklashevsky just said, that General David Petraeus and other military leaders say that there have been gains and that they were hoping for a modest withdrawal, less than that 10,000, because of the significant change at least they have seen in Afghanistan and hope to continue to see if you keep combat troops there.
Well, the president kind of has two camps in his ear right now. There's the Petraeus camp in the Pentagon that want to move kind of slowly on drawdown, and then there's sort of the Biden camp that wants to fight a counter-terror mission, which is what we recommend at VoteVets.org. And he's trying to split the difference on that, and governing through compromise for domestic policy, that's acceptable here in the United States, but commanding through averages is no way to command a conflict.
Let me ask you though, when we look back 10 years, billions of dollars, 120 billion spent on that war in 2010, countless lives, many who are back injured that we see every day, whose lives will never be the same. Has it been worth it at this point? You continue to hear these polling numbers that are out there saying that Americans feel that it wasn't worth it and that they want the troops to come home as well. But we know that there was a mission from the start, and one that troops on the ground would like to finish and would like to call a success.
Well, I think Afghanistan was definitely a worthy fight at some point, but now the situation's kind of deteriorated, mostly as a result of us taking our eye off the ball and sending all of our focus to Iraq. And now it's kind of questionable what we can do as far as fighting the Taliban and establishing a thriving Western democracy in Afghanistan, which isn't really practical. So what we at VoteVets.org think is that we need to fight a counter-terror strategy and go after Al-Qaeda where they're hiding. And apart from that, there really isn't a necessity for a large counterinsurgency force. The problems that are in Afghanistan now, other than terrorism, are Afghan problems that need to be solved by the Afghan people.
Richard Allen Smith with VoteVets.org, and thank you so much for your time and your service to this country. Thank you, Richard.